Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us for another edition of Raising Vibration Radio and Journeys into Consciousness. I'm Reverend Raven, one of your hosts, and our other host is Tammy Lasente. Say hi, Tammy.
Hi, everybody.
And our special guest tonight is Quirky Cosmo. She is a YouTube sensation, and she's been out there sharing her high vibes with everybody today, and we can't wait to talk to her. So, Tammy, take it away.
All right. Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday evening. And I keep wanting to call you Courtney. Quirky. This is going to be a tongue twister. Quirky. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited for tonight's show and where it goes and bringing the audience along for the ride. I'd like to start tonight, though, with if you could maybe, without the old story, but the beginning of the awakening, what were some of the first subtle things that you started to notice? I always like to tap into that a little bit. So maybe if that's something somebody else is maybe experiencing and they're hearing this for the first time, and then we can go deep and go out. But in the very beginning.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you guys. Thank you, ladies, for having me. Thank you all for listening and tuning in, tapping into this beautiful energy, that bubble that we're holding here, right, for the solstice energies, right?
Yes.
And tapping into that and the bubble and the energies. And we can actually kind of just start there, like with how it shows up. For me, whenever I first came into it, it was anything but subtle. It was like a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. There wasn't really a way to miss it for my whole story. But for the people that, for the things that you can just notice in your reality is, for one, we always like to say, look at the synchronicity, like how you could be thinking of a color or an animal or whatever, or a friend or a loved one, and then you realize that they call, or maybe you're seeing the numbers, synchronicity of the numbers showing up a lot more in your life, or maybe there's just a movie that comes on and absolutely moves you because you're like, oh my God, I just had that experience. Or like now you look and you watch The Matrix, you're like, this is real. And and there's little things like that that'll show up for you in your awakening. It's like, maybe for one, my mom had passed just 3 months prior to my awakening. And I had a medium reach out to me that I didn't know what a medium was. I was not that person that understood the woo or the spiritual community at all. And so my mother from the other side or from the higher dimensional aspects, was reaching out to me through a medium. And that medium that she was my branding agent for my day spa. And she went on a pretty big limb because she had a nice cut from us, and it wasn't she wasn't finished with her projects with us. So for her and we didn't have,
I know, I'm honoring her and have been as soon as you started talking about it, for her honoring and telling you. Okay.
Yeah. That's a thing too, as well as like whenever you get this guidance to connect with people and to reach out with them because you're feeling this sensation to connect with them. And, you've got to work past your own resistance, like, oh, well, I shouldn't. Or, if spirit is guiding you, like whenever you're driving down the street and you see a homeless person and you have extra water bottles in your car, or maybe it's raining. I live in Florida. So, it's raining and there's a homeless person walking down the street, and sure. Yeah. You know what? Whatever it is, but if you're guided to stop your car and give them your umbrella, then you stop and you give them your umbrella, or you stop and you give them water. And it's like, it's not, you're just listening to these intuitive guides, these feelings. And if you're guided, especially whenever you come into your awakening, to, tap into your clairaudience, or maybe you're getting a vision or whatever sensation, a feeling inside of you, or just a straight knowing like what you need to do, then the cognizance or the sentience, whatever it is for you, just really tuning in and following that guidance, whatever it is. It's called blind faith is what we refer to it as, right? In our dogmatic teachings of, biblical story time. And so we just listen to, and we follow with that blind faith. And you know what, it might seem like you're being drove down. Like one of my experiences with I drove down to, I was driving down this road in California where I lived, and I was just guided to pull off to this. It was a moose lodge, but it used to be an old Catholic church, and they have giant stones behind it and off to the side of it, and there was all kinds of crows. And that was just warming it, and I was guided to go over there, and it's just this blind faith. I'm like, a moose lodge? It's like a dirt patch in the middle of nowhere with like some creepy ass old building. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like this is, and then I do, and I'm like, all right, and then I get out of my car, and I'm like tippy toeing. There's nothing around, but I'm like, where the hills have eyes? Where are the hills that have eyes going to come out?
No shit.
Yeah.
I know.
Where's the chainsaw?
Like it, and that's the blind faith. And then, but in that moment, I was learning how to trust my intuition. Like, you will be safe. There's nothing that's going to hurt you. Just listen and do as I say. Do as I ask you to. And did anything miraculous happen? No, there was like a groundhog that was clawing all of the what do they call it? The rocks. And I was like, I'm not going over there. There was a barbed wire fence. I was like, I'm not going over there. This is it. I stop right here, right in the middle. But then all of the birds just took off and they were flying around me. I was like, whoa. It was just it was beautiful. It was an energy. But that's, again, you're following the blind trust. And
in that nanosecond, you're making a choice to follow that blind trust. And when you do that, it just starts unfolding. Yeah, that's really awesome.
It truly does. And so that's one thing that I could say for it. Like, but my experience was anything but small things. It was bam, 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 bam. My mom was like, look here, I'm dead. I'm going to tell you what to do from this side too. You're not getting rid of me, Carrie. Oh, Lord. And I love my friend that did that, because she literally could have lost a lot of money from that experience. And she's like,
oh, I honor her.
You don't know this part of me, but I'm spiritual and I do mediumship, and I've been trying to find you, Carrie, for since December, but it got busy because of Christmas. And then I got the phone call at January 22nd in 2017. And that's what really kicked off. I was like, you can't, you know what I mean? You can't make that stuff.
What was the message that she gave you?
There's a lot that happened with my mom's passing. I'll just put it that way.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I understand. Respect.
Yeah. So there was a lot of needing to know who and who not to trust and things like that.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So what's going on in your life today?
So
that was 2017, you said, correct?
Yeah, that was a whirlwind.
And here we are in 2021. What's going on today?
I'm drinking a gallon of water over here a day. So I moved my whole life from Southern California all the way out here to Sarasota, Florida is where I'm located. And so it's been a wild, amazing ride, with a lot more being guided to random places in the middle of nowhere to just break down with some sound alchemy. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but hey, Macarena,
it feels really good, and I'm really digging it. And I don't know, some magical stuff just keeps happening in my life.
It does. It literally
I know.
It just keeps unfolding. I love it. And so the more that I tuned in and I just trusted, like, not to follow the same path as everybody else. I think that's one of the most important things to know, to hear, is that your path will be unlike anybody else's. This is a story for you to fall in love with, and you're here to fall in love with your story, your awakening, your becoming, and not to be like anybody else. There is no mold. And I know in this.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Can we just have a moment for that? That is so. Oh.
I think we forget that, don't we?
Oh, yeah. Just hold that,
Yeah.
People. It's a becoming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's a journey.
Yes.
So there's a lot, you know, we see with comparison, and well, this is what their spiritual based business looks like. This is, you know, how to do the leads and how to build your empire. And I want to be really, really raw here with people. I had a $1 million day spa with all the love behind it. And that was pulled out from underneath me in 72 hours, because that's not what we're here for. We are not here to take the standing mold of society and business and hustle and take spirituality and market it like it's meat at a grocery store. And you're not here to market yourself like that either. You're here to be of your heart and of your true presence and authenticity and what that looks like for you in every moment, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And for me, having that absolute humbling moment, and believe me, I didn't grow up living a high life either. It was a very, very traumatic childhood. So for me to get to where I was at in my life, it wasn't that I was, you know, a bad person. It was literally a mom's parlor. It was dedicated to mothers. You know, I was prior military. My husband was prior military. I was a hairstylist. I was always doing hair out of my house. And the women would always bring their kids over. And so we wanted to have a place that moms could bring their kids and stay and feel comfortable and everything else and have good prices, because we were right there by military bases and we know that California is expensive. Yeah. And so it definitely was a place of heart. So when I came into this community and during my awakening in my path, I was very aware that I'm not here to sell myself in that way. I'm not here to create a hustle or to be the next, you know, Deepak Chopra, whatever his name is. You know, I'm not here to be one of them at all. And to understand that again is being pushed. So it is again the media. Okay. And we like to say, who's we? The many people in me is we. I call them the poo, the power over other structure. Okay. The poo, piece of shit. So the power over of shenanigans.
No.
Okay.
We've popped that before on occasion or two. Yeah. Anyways,
it allows me to put a nice little poo emoji next to it. The poos. The poos. The power over other structures. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The power over other structures. They not only utilize, you know, social cultural programming from, you know, education, biblical story times, or dogmatic practices, and hidden occult information that they hide the truth. Right? They don't just do that. They're going to they insert people, or we like to call them leaders, new age figures, who have wonderful wisdom to come through here. And I'm going to express this as well, who have wonderful wisdom to come through. Okay. But they're also there to be a manipulation tool. Look like this, sound like that, do this mantra, do this yantra, do this asana, read this book, read that book. It's another indoctrination program. When in truth, we're here to liberate ourselves from all indoctrination in this way. And it's not that you cannot read these books and expand your mind. Absolutely, do that. But don't get fixated and stuck in just one. Continue to expand. Many healers that are on this path, okay, like people that get into astrology or people that get into, you know, being a quantum life coach, they stop their own process because they start taking on the hustle and the bustle of the buck, okay? And they stagnate their own growth and their own DNA unfolding and adding in more consciousness and activating the silicate matrix or your crystalline matrix. Okay. And they stop and they start becoming like the gurus and all this stuff. And they stagnate in their own growth. Okay. And then they end up getting, you know, channeling in beings into their bodies, which you don't need that. You're God. You have a connection to God's source, just like everybody else. There's no need to bring in an extra dimensional being that isn't you. Be you. Honor the vessel that's here. If that person or being needed to be here, they should have incarnated here. Your soul did. You know? Like your soul said, hey, I'm going to get the t-shirt. I'm going to get wet. And so I can have this whole see-through event. Okay? But they...
Okay.
You gotta be 100% authentic. I'm just being real with who I am.
Oh, you are being real with who you are, and I think it's great. So it's
I
funny.
bet if we put her in front of the camera, that her throat chakra would be spinning 100 miles a minute.
That girl is speaking her truth, and I love it.
She is.
You know, but Sandy, we were just talking tonight about helping people help people.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm feeling really called to do that right now. Help people. And a lot of times, like in this kind of stuff, for us to be checking ourselves and be doing our work, like to reach more and then be reflecting at ourselves. Just going deep. I don't know. I just got stuck on that because when you were just talking about, I apologize. I did have very, very little sleep. I don't mean to keep spacing everybody, but I just think it's time for us to come together and hold ourselves accountable with a deeper level of integrity, of a deeper level of to thine own self be true. And you know, right, you feel it, right? And then and you feel it, and it is rising. So it seems to me, in my experience of this current time space reality,
right,
that from my perspective here, we use these things as stepping stones if you're getting this conversation, and now there's a new level. And I mean, I can feel it in my chest right now. It's just, it's a new level of integrity and holding ourselves to it, because it's the same things we've been doing to get to this point, but it kind of seems like it's kicked up a notch, like big time. But in my chest right now, the pulse is so intense. I can feel it. It just feels like, if you were to put it this way, the payoff for stepping into it is 100-fold. Does that make sense? I don't know if you could feel that.
No, I want to bring it back to, like, I'm not really a churchy person or anything like that, but these moments of stepping fully into faith, fully into trust, to surrender, which is stepping fully into faith within the divine within you. And it always reminds me of the stories of how Jesus, Yeshua, Yahweh, whatever you want to call him, we'll go with good old Jesus. Okay. how, you know, he had to go, I don't even know if it was Jesus. I just remember it being from the Bible. Let's just be honest. I'll be real, because I don't even remember who it was. But he had to go walk the desert for 40 days without food, without water, just knowing and trusting that whatever he needed would be there whenever he needed it. But the payout for that was that he became the Christ. And a lot of the stuff that has come through me a lot lately in my post, if you follow me on Instagram, Facebook is not my fan, so you don't get to see much of my stuff, even if you wanted to. I did at one point have like 5,000 people, but this is not my fan. But Instagram is, so go there, y'all, and check it out. But lately, it has literally been about being 100% authentic in here, because it's not about, like, if you're doing things for fame and fortune, which is what this new age push is, no matter which way you want to milk the cow, okay, you're still going to get the same cream, right? If you're churning it, okay, the way that they're turning the stories right now, they're using the old tactics. I don't need to get into explaining it, because then I'll get off topic. But you get what I'm saying. There's a new age push to utilize the same, like, hustle, work, push, email, client, and then you So this is to pull you away from your path. This is to pull you away from what really matters, is getting to know you. If you help people along the way, along your path, but you don't stop your path, you continue to transcend and keep moving forward, and you can handle people that will meet you exactly where you are. You may not be rolling in millions of dollars, but you don't need that shit anyways. You need what you need, not what you want, what you need. It's different. And that's the story about going through the desert for 40 days and 40 nights. You know, you got what you needed when you needed it. And it's not about having the life of luxury and all this manifestation stuff that we see out in the new age communities. Yes, you can manifest yourself a wonderful life whenever you appreciate what the life that you have
is now, when you're already happy. You got to be able to truly be there. Yeah.
And that way, whenever you are called, because I'm gonna jump into the juice here. If you
go for it. Go.
Okay. So whenever you do this, whenever you have the blind faith and you trust and you listen and you actually step into your power, right? You are aligned with everything that you need whenever you need it, right? Mm-hmm. And if you don't get it because you think that you needed it, then you never needed it to begin with. Right. Right. And so when this time comes, you know, Jesus went from being Jesus, or Jesus, Joshua, Yahweh, whatever, to being the Christ. He was on the cross, which represents, you know, the path. It's an initiation path in esoterics that you can learn about. It's a path from going from the mundane, materialistic man, primal man, into the soul's essence. It's an initiation path. Okay. And then we step off the cross and we go into the temple or the cave, and then we come out the Christ. So if you live for fame and fortune, you will be seen as God in the eyes of man. If you live for humanity and love, you will be bestowed life as God. And that is the idea of blind faith. Because whenever we go into that cave, we have to surrender. It's part of the sixth initiation, planetary initiation. It's the ascension process in the Corpus Christi. These are esoteric Gnostic teachings from the ancients. And when we go into this path, when we want to become Christed, it isn't just because you go in and you do some DNA activations and you sing and you dance and you do some ayahuasca and, you know, you have some really amazing revelationary moments, which I'm not saying don't do that. My point being, it's not about the dancing and the humming and the mantras. It's about coming into your soul self, your cosmic soul self. Because when we hit the sixth initiation in order, which is communion, which is what the divine feminine, the divine masculine coming together within, your polarities, the sun and the earth, electromagnetics coming together in unison. As we unite the heart and the mind, and the masculine becomes servant to the heart, the feminine principle. Okay, and we activate our higher hearts. Yep. And then we become our own toroidal field. We become our own universe, and we're no longer limited to the magnetics of the earth's or the collective unconscious. Okay. And so when this happens, we have to give up our lower nature, our lower desires, our needs for, you know, the perfect house, the perfect, you know, man or relationship, or, you know, all of these human materialistic desires. We let go of all that. That's the whole idea of the sacrifice. You sacrifice the separate self. The separate self is the identity, is the personality, the personal reality. Mm-hmm. You sacrifice that personal reality to step into the God self, to the macrocosmic, to become the living embodiment of Christ, which is the atomic body or the Buddhic body, depending on what genetic coding you're here for. Because a lot of us get lost in the story that we have to identify with, oh, I'm Carrie, or you're Tammy, right? We identify with this, but in truth, you're not. That's just an aspect of the embodiment that you're here experiencing.
I'm just a reflection of you, my dear.
Right. We're reflecting.
Exactly.
Yes. You keep mentioning this. What was that terminology you just used about the coding? Yeah.
Oh, so I work with the gene coding. So I work with at least like 4 different modalities. Well, 4 like booky ones, logical ones. And so I work with gene keys, and which is transmission by Richard Rod, and it's based on the I Ching and the Corpus Christi. And and that has all of the 64 codons that make up the 64 amino acid structures within the body. These the codons within the body are amino acid protein structures. But it's the 64 sides of the dodecahedron, which is the shape that makes up the universe that we can see. We're in the visible light spectrum. There's also the invisible light spectrum, which is the cosmic rays, which they allude to through symbolism and ancient and all of the ancient Gnostic paganism, all of the old pictures, all of that. They all knew this is the occult. And so we're only seeing under the firmament, we're only seeing 180 degrees of the full 360 because we're under a firmament, which is known as a dome. And that's all very much known in Gnostic teachings. And it's about how they fractal light out and how they use the moon to manipulate the subconscious. It has to do with like the visible light spectrum and all of that. So I won't get too much into the esoterics here, but I utilize the gene keys, which is one.
I'm not very familiar with those at all. I've heard of them, and I'm familiar with a few handfuls of things, and I'm really interested to explore that a little bit more.
Well, I can definitely talk about it from my perspective, from my experience with it. So I love them. I love the transmissions. They're absolutely just poetic, beautiful, raw, and so resonant. Like it hits. Yeah. Every chill bump, everything in the body. It really does. I highly suggest everybody getting the Gene Keys book. I call it my Bible. But I use it in a different sense now than what I did when I came into my awakening, because as I started decoding from the matrix. So the thing is like we're in a matrix.
Explain this decoding.
So we have 2% of our DNA that's codable, right? And then we have the other 98% they call junk DNA, which is your silicate matrix, which is your plasma body matrix. But in order to even get close to your plasma body activations and having that silicate matrix activation within you, you need to undo your shadow frequencies of your 2% of programmable genetic DNA, which is based on the codons, which are the 64 codons of the dodecahedron which we make the universe in here. And so if you want to get out of the matrix, you need to know the matrix coding. And so that's how I utilize the Gene Keys. I help people unprogram and unplug from that, because the way that astrology works and how there's way more than 88 constellations, y'all, and our planet is at a 23.5 degree wobble. We're no longer at our natural magnetic north, which is Polaris, Gene Key 10, being, naturalness. So we're no longer at a natural north, magnetic north. We're at a tilted north, and you can see this. And this had to do with the past wars that have already been here on the planets and all of that, or in the galaxy, let alone the planet. Okay, that was Atlantean, the shifts and the poles and all kinds of stuff that took place, right? But anyways, so we're here to decode ourselves from the matrix. And so whenever you can find the coding of the matrix and the shadow frequencies that your DNA and that your mental and your emotional behaviors are associated to, because of your astrological programming, which is a program. I use human design, but not in this way that the human designers do. They would not like me. at all. But the human design is a flawed system itself. And it's saying to live by your human design.
Yes. What do you mean by that?
It's a flawed system because you're supposed to live by your design. They want you to live within their matrix, live within your design. You're not your design. You are not your personality. You're not your astral chart. That is the karma. That's the mind, the masculine, the male, the paternal aspect, the electric, the externalized aspect. And the body 88 days prior to being born, which is a Mercury cycle. Mercury goes around the sun every 88 and a half days. It makes a Mercury cycle. That also is what tracks your trimesters while you're pregnant, because Mercury controls the body and the communication in the nervous system. Okay, so 88 days prior to being born is your body, the subconscious, okay? And so that is the maternal, the feminine, the subconscious, the feminine, the body, okay? And that is your genetic coding from your mother side, okay? And so you have these two aspects of you, the masculine side and the feminine side, that you're here to assimilate and to transcend. You incarnated specifically at this time to transcend all of the disharmony, all of the chaos from the collective. So you took on suffering. You took on an aspect of suffering for the collective. And so that suffering is what we see it on the outside, on your astrological. That is your personality, your personal reality, the people, the places, the experiences that you're going to have that clean up the karma that you, or the suffering that you incarnated and said, hey, I'm going to go have those experiences with those people, those places, and I'm going to have that personality, and then I'm going to transcend that and to my soul level, get on my path, and I'm going to ascend to my Christ consciousness, which is not limited to the separate self, which is the personality, the personal reality, but it is all encompassing of the God self, which is bringing them both sides together, and all that feminine wounding that you're going through, all the subconscious stuff that holds you up, and you're like, oh, it's my past life. And no, that's actually from your lineage, from the feminine lineage that which is your subconscious side, which is actually more closer to your truth, because your soul's essence, because that's whenever you were imprinted, whenever you were in the womb of your mother. And so that's all the genetic cycling that you're going to go through, the genetic cycling, not the social and emotional and cultural behavioral patterns, which are on the masculine externalized side. This is the internal. I'm not good enough. I'm fat. Or, maybe your mom you got like me, my example, I can always speak from my truth, is when my mom was pregnant with my little sister, she was abandoned. She was pregnant and abandoned at 8 months pregnant. Guess what? With my first kid, I was pregnant and abandoned, just like my mother. So I was literally living my mother's story. We always say, I don't want to be like my mom. Well, that's why. Because you're running through the subconscious, which is the unseen, the unknown. And that's the other side to the human design. And so you're not here to live by a design. You're here to unplug it completely. And then you take the two sides, because you have all 64 codons in you. Don't get that shit twisted. You have all 64 codons in you, but you have specific markers from the astrological imprinting from whenever you were born in 88 days prior to being born, that you're here to transcend and to bring them together to become your quantum self or your cosmic self.
Fascinating. That is just crazy. I like that. I've never heard of, I've heard of gene codes, but I've never understood or even had that much understanding of them. Thank you.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about that, Tammy? You know, well, 64, you got 6 and 4, which is 10. You got 6 is about family, 4 is about dependability. You reduce it down to 10, which is independent and God power. And then you reduce that down to 1, independence. I mean, that is just wild right there.
Sandy loves our numerology.
I love numerology. Yeah, I love it.
Mean, it says independence.
Huh?
It's independence. You break it down and you got the independence separate from I'm it.
You know what I mean? I'm over here jamming too. I love it. And the 10 is the masculine and the feminine.
Yeah. It's great. That is really awesome.
I hope that brought some clarity to people, because you're not here to get lost in your codes. You're not here. The whole idea of coming into at one-ment is to be at one in the moment. And you're not here to express yourself as this or that. You're here to be at one with the all, with everything that's going on. You are the plant, you are the trees, you are the person that's sitting in front of you, next to you, behind you. You're at one with the entire moment. That's what that
tell
means.
you how much all of that so deeply resonates with me, and the intensity of that energy that I've been carrying. I'm not with knowledge of gene codes, but I've been feeling and experiencing that in profound, profound ways the past year, deeply.
That's beautiful. Yeah, you don't have to be. You don't have to use any of these to experience this. There's
I'm
the
interested
yin.
to read the drink. Yeah. I'm dying to look all of it up.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I still, whenever I'm doing it, I see, because I do astrology. I utilize esoteric astrology because there's exo and eso. Exoteric, which is the mundane, where they're like, yeah, this is the relationship and this is the experience and the hell and the damnation. I'm like, that's old astrology. Y'all just bringing the past into your now moment, creating the same shitty future that you had in the past. So why the hell are we still using it? And that's the thing, is like they haven't moved beyond the exoteric astrology, and they're going to go into the esoteric astrology, where you actually learn that there's what your ascendant means, and it's your soul's path, and that's your soul's essence. It's more than just your first house and how you see yourself, right, or how others actually see you. But yeah, and so there's so much more depth to this stuff. That's why I'm saying people get stagnated. Well, this is what I'm here for. Actually, you're here to continuously transcend teachings and limitations, and limitations are identifications. So, but don't get me wrong, I still love it when I'm reading. I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. This is so juicy. And it's great, juicy information, and utilize that. Empower yourself by it.
Exactly.
Don't limit yourself to, oh, well, I'm only this or I'm only that, or, this is my profile and so I must be this. It's like, you're all of that. You're God. You're good old divine. You are the good old divine here.
Oh, that's very beautiful. Good old divine. Oh, I like that. Sandy, do we have any questions from our audience this evening?
Not so far. We've got people giving us hearts and checking in and, and giving us the thumbs up, but no questions so far. What's going on this weekend with the plasma body?
I was waiting for you to get into that.
I knew you were.
I was waiting to get into that. Okay, so not only do I use the Gene Keys, slight bit of human design, and esoteric astrology, but I also utilize the Keylontic teachings, which are very, very fought against in the spiritually awakened community. But that's, again, there's a lot of resistance for a lot of things in that community, so I don't give it about what they think. There's a lot of logic in it, especially if you know esoterics. And they don't. A lot of people in the community don't understand esoterics, and they don't understand occult wisdom. They don't understand the things that have been hidden in plain sight. And so what I utilize is the Keylontic teachings, which are the Guardian Alliance teachings, which are a set of transmissions, just like the Gene Keys, just like the human design, just like the I Ching, just like astrology. All of that has come through channeled transmissions through individual beings. And so this is the same thing, except these are the ancient teachings that used to be here on the planet that have been highly suppressed, annihilated, and hidden AF. And it's really amazing whenever you come into them, because you start seeing the awarenesses. I was studying deep in the esoterics, Alice Bailey's treaty on cosmic fire, and which is all about all of the cosmic rays, rayology, and understanding how the star systems that hold specific ray codings. We're familiar with the 7 rays, or the visible rays, right? Visible rays, right. Spectrum. And the 7th ray being the ultraviolet, indigo, the ultraviolet light, which takes you into the non-visible spectrum, and that starts moving you into the cosmic rays. When we move into the cosmic rays, we're moving into the God realms, right? The higher cosmic realms of awareness connecting to the star systems. And just like us, we have a lower self, right? And then we have a higher self. And we have all the selves in between. and so do the planets, and so do the star systems. Okay, and so the way we've been indoctrinated into this Earth school, we'll just call it that, the Earth school, is through the lower consciousness of the planets. And in order to ascend through them, you must connect into your soul to move through the ring pass knot, which is the firmament, or the dome. And how you move through the dome is you have to go inside. You cannot keep seeking externally, otherwise you keep seeing the same stuff showing up in different places and different faces. When you go inward, sorry, I'm like tapping and burping coming out. When you go in is whenever you can break through and you can get the information about the cosmic rays. And so we go into the God realms. Well, there's diagrams all in the Alice Bailey's teachings about the cosmic rays and how they come through the globe chains, and yada, yada, yada. Okay, so that's the esoteric version. That's the esoteric, hidden, occult version of the Guardian Alliance teachings. Okay, they just have different ways of expressing the diagram and hiding the 12 dimensions. Your Kabbalah tree of life, the 10 spheres, 11 being Doth, all that's only 11, honey. We have 12 DNA strands. Actually, more.
Yes.
We have more. And these are hidden occult wisdoms. These are hidden knowledge. And so Iyasha, Ashiana Dean, Anna Hayes, all of these names that she's gone by. She was a writer of the Voyagers 1 and 2. And her material is heavily suppressed, and it's not easy to come by. If you need it, you want to get into it, you let me know, email me. Okay, I have the stuff to send to you. Or you can go to the Arrayus website and you can start your journey with that as well. But all of the esoterics that you find, they're hidden, and you got to go and you got to like manipulate. And you're sitting there and you're like banging your head into a wall or into the desk, because I have a thick sticker here that says bang head here. And I'm like, like, what am I missing with this? And as soon as I came across the Keylontic teachings, Guardian Alliance teachings, I was like, oh my God, this makes sense. And it's the quantum. Before they had quantum physics, before they were coming out with quantum physics and proving this and proving that and epigenetics, before it was out in the journals, she's got the maps of this. She's got the all of the grids laid out. It's broken down. It's really dense. It's really dense material, you guys. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you read Alice Bailey, Helena Blavatsky's work, any of these esoterics, the Gnostics teachings, they're dense. They're dense. They're complex. Nothing is that simple. And I'm not saying that the mind can't make things complex. The mind absolutely does make things complex. But we live in a complex reality. We live in a holographic projected reality. It's based on quantum computer coding. It's based off of sine waves, frequency, light, magnetism, electricity. Like, this is how a frequency. Okay. And so it can be complex. It's simple in the sense of like, oh yeah, no, it's a sine wave, it's music, it's harmony. Yes. But when you got to break it down into coding, then it's complex. Like any computer programmer will tell you can't just, hell, half the people don't even want to get started with their business or out there to help people. It's like, I can't even make a website. I know I was like, I can't do this. And it's a click and drag.
But other people can, and I think that they should, and I happily give them money to do so.
Right. And so I happily go in there and I decode this extremely complex material, because I have the genetic printout from my astrology that my soul said, nah, you're going to come in, you're going to incarnate with these alignments so that you have a genius. You have a genius to you. And I do. And it's provable through the astrology. And I've had more than one astrologer tell me that, but it didn't click in until I had my Saturn return. And so anyways, I don't need to go talking about I'm not trying to toot my horn. I'm just saying we all have our gifts. Okay. We all have our gifts. Mine is to take complex ass shit and break it down.
And you're doing a phenomenal job.
And I try my best.
I think it's interesting trying to have conversations right now when I feel like I've changed and transcended so much myself and moved through so much in just the past 3 years, that it just seems like there's all different perspectives at any time that are just a little bit this way or a little bit but we're moving. We're all You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, kind of feels like a spiral.
Spiral. We're
All
spiraling.
moving.
Right.
So it's just a constant, just moving with it.
Right.
And coming into more understanding of things.
Well, here's the thing with that, going back to the computer coding, okay, because we're in this coding. It's a cosmic coding, okay? If you don't want to call it a computer, we'll call it a cosmic coding, okay? And so where we descend, and if we don't want to stick to stories, and that's another thing why the Guardian Alliance material gets hated on so much, because it's like, oh, well, the storyline is all against Thoth, and it's against Metatron, and all this other shit. It's like, yeah, there is. It is. It very much has good purpose for that. But we don't have to get hooked onto the story. We can just see that, hey, there's a story for a reason. Stories are there to grab the audience's attention, to inspire them to do more or be more, right? Like we watch the Avengers. We're like, no, we don't like the bad guy. What was his name? I don't even remember his name. We don't like the bad guy. We like Iron Man. Yeah, America. Woo! We can get rid of 50%. Woo! Right? So we have stories that trigger us to move things, okay? And the thing is, with our story, our human cosmic drama that we're living in, there is we can stick to the stories, or we can just look at it from cut dry here. Let's go macro. There is a program that has to be put into a computer to crash it, right? We call this a virus.
Mm-hmm.
Put it into your computer, it crashes your computer. Some viruses work really fast. Some of them deteriorate your computer and your files over time, right? And so what we had was a virus put in. I don't care about the stories. We had a virus put into our system where we were angelic human beings that can move through time, space, continuums. We can instantly manifest and appear. We could, we had telepathy, all of the cellular telepathy, the transmutation senses, all of these extra supernatural abilities that are natural to us. We had them we had them taken away. So that would require a code. There is a code for that. It's the Metatronic code. It's the overlay. It's the matrix overlay. It's, well, wait, that's in our body. That spiral shows up everywhere in life. Well, yeah, it does. It's a code. It's been coming onto the planet for millions of years to dummy down consciousness. And thanks to the story that we're having is that we have a rise. We're ascending. So Sophia, Gnostics teachings, Sophia fell from her cosmic self. Mm-hmm. And then she fell into the depths, into the darkness, which is what we went through, all the dark times, right? And then now we're ascending consciousness as she's ascending herself back up, quintessentially. So there has to be a code to descend it and a code to ascend it. And these are two different codings, one where you're adding and one where you're multiplying. What we see is a Fibonacci sequence, or the phi, or the golden ratio, and all that. It served its purpose. Mm-hmm. It has. But if you go into any of the ancient buildings, their frequencies and how the Masons built these buildings, mm-hmm. right? It was all from these codes, right? Yeah. And so these just help to descend the consciousness of the planet. And they utilize the monuments on a grander scale to implement this code manipulation. Okay, so where we see Giza, we see the Washington Monument in DC, all these erected mm-hmm. places.
Penises.
Right. They use the penises, right, yep. Erected to manipulate the electromagnetic fields where all of the consciousness moves through. Planes, they're moving along the ley lines. They mm-hmm. can fly planes anywhere. No, they can't. They have to go along specific ley lines. It's not just about the aviation and torques and all that. I have to go along the electromagnetic ley lines, okay, specific ones. Okay, otherwise, all right. So anyways, those ley lines are manipulated on a grander scale through the fourth dimension, which is what we call the frequency band, where all creativity is at, all these ideas like, oh, this is my idea. I'm going to patent it. It's mine. Honey, you just reached into the cookie jar and you actually got a cookie out. Good for you. It was there for everybody. Okay. Mm-hmm. It was literally there for everybody. You just tuned in, tapped in, and you got it out. But by the way, 16 other people did, but they may not have had the alignment and like the passion that you did to put it into play. Okay. They might have been dealing with their own genetic, I'm not worthy enough to do this. Okay. So these ideas are for everybody. Creative ideas are out there for everybody. Consciousness is constantly moving. And that fourth dimensional field is constantly having echoes of beings that used to be here and parasitical beings that are other dimensional, because we're all freaking aliens. We're all aliens. Even the human species is an alien. We're all celestial beings, but some of them are good and some of them are not so good. And we call those archons or demons. And they're in the fourth dimensional frequency band as well. And you can see them channeling through the people that say that they are channeling the light family of, you know, whatever, cosmic, galactic, whatever. That is not real. Whenever you're acting like that and you're not in your natural flow, honey, you are letting a demon come out your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the truth. And that's an honest truth. So the ideas are there. The ideas are in the fourth dimensional frequency band. People that consciousness that got stuck because they were murdered, they didn't understand, or they were just buried, because you're not supposed to be buried. You're supposed to be burned, cremated, so that you release your body cell. The cell, whenever your mom and your dad came together, they did waka, 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 and they made you the original quantum that you are, that gets lodged into your coccyx bone. Yeah, your original quantum seed. That's your original seed atom. And then it has, because of all the distortions on the planet, okay, from the ley lines and all the archons in the fourth dimension and all the other aliens, okay, good guys, the bad guy aliens laying all these grids and overlays, the firmament, all that on the collective. And I'm not just over here with, you know, being a conspiracy truthist and like, oh, she's all pushing hell and damnation. No, I'm just pushing real. I'm pushing real. There's good and there's bad. It's not all just love and light. I'm sorry. With light comes darkness. The moon.
There's polarity.
There's polarity. We live in a world of duality.
There is no escaping this.
There's no escaping
you woke
it.
up here this morning, you're still dealing with polarity.
That's right. You still got it.
Slash.
Yeah, and it's still in the fields, and it's still there, and we're all working collectively to undo this. But don't get the shit twisted that all that Metatron shit that you're seeing out there, that's the real deal. I'm going to tell you right now, if it was the real deal, it would be hidden. Because the power over other structures, you are in a slave system with the injections. That's a slave system. They want you diddly-bop, bop, boop, boop, boop. And it's not just from the injections. They inject these false light teachings into the new age awakening community because they understand how timelines are all the time happening. The now moment is our future. And it is, our future isn't in a future timeline. Our future is in the now moment. And they understand how to manipulate the now moment with holographic inserts. And we see this all the time. They put it into the movies. They put it in the TVs. They play it on the TV screens. These are holographic inserts. We have to be real with ourselves. It's about being real with the duality that we live in. And about ascending your DNA. About seeing the shadows. Unplugging from the matrix. Unplugging from your genetic codings. And then that way it turns on your celestial coding so you can actually tune in, tap in to the higher dimensional, to your 12th dimensional aspect, your cosmic self, your God source self. And you can have true awareness of what is actually going on. And so the plasma body is your silicate matrix. I know I've kind of like gone all over the place. You guys can check out my channel on Instagram and I talk way more about this in depth, but I do want to talk about the plasma body here. The plasma body is your spirit body. So like I was saying earlier with your seed atom that gets put into your coccyx, right? And then it has a crust around it, which is formed from the planetary infiltration, from the grid infiltration, from manipulation.
That's why you're saying you're supposed to be cremated and not
right. So that you can burn that and so that your soul can actually leave. Everybody that's put into a box and into the ground, unless you have some spirit, some being like myself, go over to the graveyard and actually release the energy from the graves, then they're locked in there and their consciousness gets locked into the fourth dimensional and they do the wheel of samsara. They continuously incarnate, forget, brainwash, brainwash. They do all that. And so whenever we get cremated, it releases, but also it's in your body. If you're alive, it's still there. And as you release your shadow frequency, the 666, the 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, 6 protons, your 2% coded DNA, just the 2% coded DNA, then it starts unlocking and releasing the crust that's around your coccyx. bone, and it releases your Verbati cell or your original seed quantum atom from within the your what's known as your reptilian tail. Give it that, right? The reptilian tail is what it's referred to as. Come the F on, people. Come on. Come on. And
wait, I got a question. Is there such thing as cockroach people?
yeah. They're
I've seen them.
Insectoids.
Oh my God, I've
And
seen them.
People, and mantis people. They're not all are good. Not all are good.
No.
Roaches are bad in this reality for a reason.
Okay.
Because they're bad in that one too. So just leave it at that.
Okay, gotcha.
Dominance. Don't come in my field. I don't want you. I don't like you. I am sovereign. I am free. Now get the hell away from me. Mantra. It's a mantra. But anyways, I'm just being silly. But that's a little bit of my personality, hence why I go by Quirky. Cosmo. Gotta put a little twist.
I love it.
Gotta put a little twist in it. So the plasma body, once you start working through your shadow frequencies and unplugging from the identifications, stop with the emotional reaction and reaction or repression, whatever it is. When you stop getting out of that, and you stop identifying and you come into the at-one-ment, which is like, okay, I'm here. You come into your acidic frequencies or your gift frequencies, because there's the 3 frequency bands that go along with the Gene Keys teachings, which I love, and it really helps to assimilate and for people to understand how consciousness will move up gradually. It's not just like 1 to 1,000, although that's a spontaneous Kundalini awakening, and it really throws people into a massive state of psychosis because, they didn't do the 1, 2, 3. They said, "Woo! I'm out," and they're not. They're like, "Hey." I like acid. No, and they just be dropping acid all the time. Well, you just blew some holes through your head permanently. But anyway, so the releasing of the Verbati cell or your original seed quantum. Okay. This allows for the rest of your cells, your atoms in your body to start initiating, because you're only working with a finite the phi ratio, a finite amount of your energy. Hence why you die. We are eternal beings. We're not here to continuously die. That's a harvesting, a looshing. There's a movie called Jupiter Ascending. Watch it. They do this. The poo do this. Hollywood do this.
The poo do this.
It's a poo do. It's a poo do.
I like you a lot.
The poo do this. And so, it's how they get away with manipulation of free will. They show you what they're doing. And so, anyways, as you go through your shadow frequencies and you undo them, you unlock your atoms slowly but surely. They start unlocking. And that's what this ascension, all these planetary alignments are. We're getting aligned with this. We're activating within us the planets as above, so below. As within, I project it out. That's what without means. I go without it. No. You project it out because your eyes don't see. Scientific proven fact. Eyes do not see. They project. That's why they say always go within. What is going on within here will manifest externally. So fix your shit inside. Go do your epigenetics. Do your mantras. I am love. I am wonderful. Go beyond that, please. Get beyond I am love and I am wonderful. Move it to I am honor. I am forgiveness. I am, moving through the spectrum of consciousness. And that's literally what the gene codes are, the spectrum of consciousness. And so as you move through your spectrum of consciousness without going on the roller coaster ride, you just literally hang on. You're like, this is the late, I'm on the kiddie one. Like when you go to the little, thing with your kids, you're like, this is not a ride. But the kids are like, this is the best thing ever. And you're like, and you're on the carousel and you're like, is this fucking thing over? And the kids are like, that was the best ever. Let's do it again. You're like, no.
I really don't want to.
So it's a merry-go-round of life. But yeah, when we activate that, then we start activating more of our quantum. When our quantum turns on to full spin, which it has been finite. So
pause for a second. So for listeners out there who are saying,
why would I want to do that? People who don't understand or can't even follow this, but find this interesting. Why do you want to do that, Quirky?
Because you want to free yourself. Why not? If you're on the best ride ever and you incarnated on this earth school, then why not test yourself? Why would you give up? Sink or swim. I be swimming. I ain't sinking. I'm not fish food. I'm not shark bait. Ooh, ha, ha.
I came here to do the macaroni art.
I mean, everybody came here for a different reason. If it doesn't thrill you, it doesn't excite you to see what you can do, then by all means do what resonates for you, what works for you, what gets you through your day. But I sure as shit will not be here and allow, and as a mother of 2 children, let my children, live in a world of AI, robots, and injections, and no. So I'm gonna fight for my children, and it's not a fight, as I'm not out there with some friggin' bow, 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 bow. I'm like, no, I'm just dropping truth bombs, and I'm shifting stuff within me because that radiates into everybody. One open heart, one enlightened being opens the door for thousands to come in.
Exactly.
And if I can help assist in co-creating that frequency band for other people just to walk into. Just to walk into. I don't want my kids to go through the shit that I went through.
Exactly.
Hell no. And I don't want the people that are awakening to have to go through all of the hard work, shadow frequency, demonic battle, like fighting, like bam, bam, bam. No, I don't want them to go through that. I want you to walk through that. I want you to walk through that. And so this plasma activation, okay, we're doing that right now. It's showing up in my life tenfold. All right. People, experiences in my feeds, everything. And I can't make this shit up. Like literally, I can, and I love that it's showing up because what I'm doing, what I talk about, what this plasma experience is, people call it a solar flare. The sun is the electric pole. We manifest it externally. I don't give a shit about all the science that goes behind it. NASA is a lie. We live under a firmament. If you don't believe me, that's for you to deal with. Go do your own research. I've read so much and had so many incarnations on this. I'm telling you right now, you live under a dome. Okay. Whenever you see a rainbow in the sky up there, that's because it's light reflecting. We have the rainbow vision. We have to have a lens to see it through. What the is up there? A lens, a firmament, a reflection. You think that you see a spaceship go through that? No, honey, that's a holographic projection. That's an insert. That's the poo utilizing technology that's been here for a very long time, but seriously suppressed. Just like you're all finding out, like a lot of people come into this and they're finding out about all kinds of negative stuff. About MK Ultras, about, I don't want to say too many things on here because I don't want this recording to be not usable and deleted because of my words. But the poo. Everything manifests in the spiritual first. It happens within first, and then it manifests in the physical. It is spiritual, and then it is physical. And so everything that we're seeing on the collective scale, it has already happened on a spiritual level. Okay, it has already happened. And that is a physical manifestation of it. Okay. And so with the plasma, so therefore it lets me know what I'm talking about, what I'm bringing forward with the plasma wave, the solar flash. They call it the solar flash. They call it the event, the great shift. This is a plasma event. This is whenever the silicate matrix opens up within a collective, which are the light workers, okay, that have been doing the due diligence and who are not running, reverse currents, who are not running, reversed frequencies, because that happens, okay? The Metatronic reversed currents, which is descending consciousness, keeping you in shadows, keeping you in loops. People that are like, this is what's going on in the news. This is what's happening with the injections and this and that and the other. Y'all just looping. Stop worrying about it. It's already happening. It doesn't need to happen. You don't need to keep feeding your energy into it. Don't give your energy into it. Yes, it's happening. Got it. It's happening. But it is not happening for you right there, right now.
Exactly.
So your energy matters. And so if you're putting your energy into a reverse system, even if you're trying to be a freedom fighter that way, you're still feeding the fire.
Exactly.
Stop feeding the fire. Mm-hmm. Your energy is the fuel. Monsters Inc. Boo. The monsters stole their screams. And then in the end, They harvested their laughter. But right now we need to laugh at them, because it doesn't do any good to bully the bully. Okay? They already have enough bad energy. Just send them laughter and laugh at this shit, because that's gonna heal your DNA. And you're gonna be able to activate the silicate matrix, which activates the plasma wave frequency. Plasma is what protects this earth from any of the rays. Got it? See how the rays, plasma is what's the universe. What we're floating in is plasma. Vril is another word that it was used. The vril. Yeah, that's the vril, the Nazi word back in the day. Vril. We want vril. That's the plasma. That's the dark matter. That's what they're trying to harvest, is the free energy, plasma. You, homie, have trillions of cells. When all those trillions of cells, plasma that's in your blood, it's the liquid, it's the etheric liquid, because it's a gas in our atmosphere, but in us it solidifies into a liquid. So it's the heavenly waters below, y'all. That's the heavenly waters below, and within is the plasma, which is a part of your blood, which makes up for all of your celestial DNA, celestial memory, and all of the power to become your own universe. And when all of us become our own universe, or we have the plasma wave event, which is happening very soon, okay, because there are enough people that are pure of heart. Like I said, you don't have to know these teachings. You don't even have to know the Kilanta teachings from that side. As long as you're pure of heart, if what you're doing is in integrity and devotion, and you're not doing it to become famous and full of fame and fortune, okay, you're doing it for the love of humanity, then your heart opens. And there's enough of us that are doing that. And we're in that time frame right now. When they say, well, we're waiting for the shift in human design. Well, it's not until 2027, or even in GP. It's like, let me just tell you, there's a narrative there. There's a narrative that the coup, the Palo the other matrix structure builders want you to freaking know. They want you to believe it's not until 2027, because that's their narrative. Let me tell you right now, it's now. The future is always now. It is not in a future.
Always right now.
Always right now.
Creating it in every single now moment.
And then they say
that is so
right, so true. And they say that you gotta wait for divine timing, or it's this alignment or that alignment. The planets that you see externally are a part of the solar system of the internal of the earth, plain and simple. Okay, when we talk about divine timing, we are the divine. The time doesn't exist. It's a linear experience. Whenever you come into your heart, you open up your heart, you become like, whenever you're hanging out with your friends and time is just flying by. Like, look, we're already an hour and 7 minutes into this, right? So time just really flew by because we're having a great time, because we're in our hearts. We're having a good time. That doesn't exist in linear. Time doesn't actually exist. Timelessness is whenever we come into our hearts. And we live in timelessness because we're radiating that. We're radiating timelessness. We're radiating our heart frequency, which is what happens whenever the plasma activates. We come into the atomic embodiment. This is Buddhic embodiment, beyond Buddhic embodiment. 6th initiation, 6th planetary initiation. We are the divine timing. When we open our hearts, when we choose to open our hearts, is the divine timing. That is it. When we choose it, we are the divine, good old divine. We are God embodied. Okay. And we say when, we say who, and we say how. That's right. And so when the heart activates, we radiate, which our heart is the earth's heart. And she is known as the aurora lights, right? The aurora lights. These things I'm like getting all thrown off here. The aurora lights. And that radiates the emerald green lights from our hearts. And that creates the emerald wave. It is a plasma wave, and it will knock people out because it's a wave of pure love. And it's what it's going to do. It's going to reassimilate people's bodies. Okay. And that's happening with it. We actually anchor that in on the solstice, and it will be permeating within the next couple of weeks, two and a half weeks. Within 13 days from then. So get your water, stock up on drinking water. Like, I'm serious. Alkaline spring water. Don't give me your bullshit with your Kangen and crap and your Brita filters. That is not it. The reason why you need real water, spring water, is because you're assimilating your elemental templates. Your elemental templates are your organic templating, not your human overlay. You need all of your periodic table. And so the water that comes from springs comes from the natural aquifers that come from the inner earth, that come from Earth's mantles, the Earth's aquifers. And so whenever you go get your bougie water, maybe you got the Evian, you got your French Alps, or maybe you've got, the whatever. I don't drink that one, but I've got 10 water, or wherever your Fiji water, wherever your water's coming from, right? Or what's another, the I don't know, whatever your water's coming from. You're getting the codes from those locations, from the Earth's mantle. So you're getting those minerals. So you're rebuilding your periodic table of elements within your body.
Mm-hmm.
So what about Zephyr Hills water?
It's actually better than any of the other ones in the area. It actually tests better than oh my God, what was it? It was they had like an alkaline water that we did a testing on, but it's a good one. It's good.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay,
Florida
good.
has better drinking water than most.
Oh, good,
But
good.
not from a tap, yo. She's talking about, if you're not from Florida, Zephyr Hills is a natural spring place out here where they cap the water. And so it's actually a decent spring water. Believe me, I did my research on this one too. I was like, what can I get?
I got one other question. When we share our blood or our plasma, is that a good thing when we're going?
They utilize it. I wouldn't go and sell your plasma. No.
Give it. Just give it, like, for the blood to help out with cancer.
Yeah, well, they separate the blood from the plasma. That's how you donate the plasma. They go and they put it in a machine. It spins. It'll spin the blood, the codable DNA away from the uncodable DNA. That's how they know that there's codable DNA and uncodable DNA. So when you go to donate your blood, you have your I wouldn't really, and especially now that they're letting the injected beings donate blood. I really wouldn't, 100% wouldn't.
Okay. That's good to know. I was just curious about that. I mean, we're talking about plasma and the life source within the plasma, and then you're commingling it with other things out there. I was just curious about that. I mean, off the top of my head, like, wow, I'm just wondering how this all plays a part in all this.
Yeah, I mean, it does. Everything plays together, but there's a lot of these what seem like good things to do, and it is, and it is. It saves people life, having plasma and having blood donated and stuff like that. If you've ever done it, thank you, and thank to your heart, blessings and everything to you for that. We're good people. Humans are really good people, but we're in a simulation where we're being manipulated by not so loving beings. Okay. And so it's just about becoming conscious and aware of like what you can use to assist yourself. But to be honest, we're coming into a great event that is happening within the next 3 weeks. And it's not because I've just been guided to this. It's showing up in my reality like hotcakes. And if it doesn't pan out on the days, that's fine. I'll be the jackass that comes out and bestows hope back into humanity. I don't care. I don't give a damn about a reputation like that. What I care about is putting that information out there to get your water and get wood. If you live where you don't have propane, where you can just light stuff, you're going to be knocked out for a time period anyways, but you'll come back too. And then a lot of us, from the guidance that I'm getting, is that we're moving into the crystal cities. Hence why you need to have your water, your plasma, you need to have your elemental templates. We're going to move into the cities, into the higher states of consciousness, but also into the inner earth domains known as the deity planes. You guys might have heard as Shambhalas, but it's beyond all of that. We're going into the inner earth, the healing centers, where people are like, oh yeah, I see new earth. It's all crystals and healing temples. We're not building it here on this planet. Let you guys know it already exists. Everything already exists.
Right.
And so we're going to have this plasma event, which is created by us, for us. And then we move through space-time continuums, vortexes, if you will, not through stargates, not doing external. It's nothing external. We're going internal. And so by activating this, we move into the healing cities. The crystal cities is what we refer to them as. And that is where we will help others, because we'll open a vortex and they'll be able to walk through it, even though they don't have the DNA strands activated fully and anchored, and they still have shadow frequencies. But since our heart's opened, it opens the gates for thousands to go through. And so we will move into the inner earth planes. We will go into the deity planes and into the median earth, new earth, eartha, agarth, whatever you want to give it a title. We're moving into the healing cities so that we can assist others in anchoring in that genetic coding so that we can actually save the human species. That's the thing. We have extinct animals on this planet. We're about to be extinct.
Please describe the healing cities. What?
So the healing cities are basically like if Earth had never been penetrated and manipulated and had all of this artificial inorganic structures, right? All of, things that are not. So it's more like waterfalls, and there's cities that are domes. Like they have buildings that are circular, and there's, crystal structures, kind of like the ancient healing temples that we had in, Egypt and Atlantis and all of that. But it's actually Earth almost 3,000 years into the future. And it's new Earth, Eartha, if you will. And, or whatever you want to call it, new Earth, 5D, whatever. But these healing centers are where we're moving into our consciousness into. Our whole bodies through. We're going to be going through vortexes. There are beings that are here that their DNA is activated, elevated enough to hold open these gates that we can save a species. The whole species, if y'all haven't looked on the outside, is kind of getting tagged like cattle out there. Okay, so that's the inorganic human at this point. And we're trying to save the organic templating, the organic human. Okay, and that's a species, a celestial species, a very advanced celestial species. But due to a descending code, we haven't known that. And so we're rising as we can, and we're being assisted by guardians of the galaxy, the Guardian Alliance, who will not come in and infiltrate you in any way that is harmful for your own psyche and emotional and mental stability, that works through you, through others, and aligns you through synchronicity, serendipity. Okay? Not through manipulation and embodiment. I am channeling the person, Chiron, who is really a demonic being, from another universe. So this is not just happening on our planet either. This is happening on many planets.
I love it. She's making fun of Chiron.
Don't listen to that. You listen to that, please go.
I didn't know. One time I listened to it, I couldn't stand listening to it. Like, what the hell is this? Like,
complete Metatronic coding.
Oh, it's crazy. I think it's funny though. But for us that may not have the clean genetic code, if we stay pure of heart during all of this, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, you're totally okay. You're totally okay. It's the pure of heart. It's not that you know all these teachings that or one set of teachings or another. It's literally you could even be well, I don't even know about that. I won't say that out loud. Never mind. It's just that like you're to be pure of heart, right? To what you do is in integrity. What you do is for the love of yourself, for the love of your family, for the love of the good old divine. And you're not there you're not there to get rich, to be famous, because all that is wounded high school shit. Like you weren't the popular girl kind of mentality. I wasn't seen, I wasn't heard, and I love you and I'm sorry that was your story and your experience, but you're not here. That's not your rise to glory out here, is to be a freaking rock star. I just call them spirituals. I call them, what do I call them? Starseed superstars. Starseed superstars. Okay, we're not here to do that. That's not what this life. You can go live, and you will stay here, and you will stay here, and you will stay here with all of the walking, injected, infiltrated beings, inorganic beings, and you will stay here. Or you will move into the new earth because you have a pure heart, and you will help save the species. And no matter what, your soul, after you pass on Bardo, is what's referred to as Bardo, die a normal death, whatever that looks like for you, or astrological coding, because they can tell you how you're going to die. After you pass on, your soul will be released. It's not going to continue to incarnate here. We are being held by a wonderful, amazing beings that come from the inner earth, the creator templates, who are now they took the reins on all of this shit show out here, but they're still harvesting, because if you choose to go with the Metatronic frequency that's connected to a different universe, then they will take your soul to that. That's if you choose to be in self-serving and not service to others.
Right.
Self-service or ugly. Ugly meaning like you do really ugly stuff. We know what ugly means. I'm not meaning that your face looks ugly, your body's ugly. I'm talking about your heart be ugly because you eat somebody else's kind of stuff. That goes to a fallen matrix. And then those that are pure of heart, even after they pass through Bardo, they will be going back to source. They will not go in the reincarnation wheel. They will not go into the fourth dimensional reincarnation wheel. They will move on.
Who will not do that? I just missed the end.
I was saying like soul. So if they're worried like, hey, well, I haven't been doing this and whatever, or I've been practicing whatever Metatronic teachings, like if you have a pure heart, if you just choose to be with Christ, you know, Christ consciousness, and that you're not doing this to get your fancy fucking house and your bougie ass car and your $1 million whatever shoes and Gucci, all of that materialism. And I'm not saying you can't have a great life, and I got a hoopty, but I have a great life and I have everything that I want whenever I need it, you know. But that's not what I'm doing.
You're following your heart, and you're living your passion, and you're speaking your truth,
right?
And you're impacting the people immediately around you so profoundly by living with that level of integrity that it causes a ripple effect constantly. I mean, like, it's just, I can feel, you know, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, I love it. No, I appreciate that.
So are we like so this plasma super event that's coming on, is it gonna like you're gonna just transcend in your whole body into the new earth, or does this body fall off of you and you're just
no, this body doesn't fall off. This body, this vessel is made for that. So people that have been working and doing the work and are pure of heart will get knocked out. Our hearts will open. What we do is it's discussed in the sixth initiation, planetary initiation, which is communion. When the male and the female come together, you let go of the separate self. You sacrifice the separate self, the separate desires, and you actually come into at one-ment, and you open up the Buddhic body opens. And so some people will come into like avatar consciousness, which is the Buddhic state, and then others will come into Rishi consciousness, which is the atomic nirvana. But nonetheless, we carry a code, and so the ones that have the Buddhic and the nirvana codes active within their DNA because they've been doing the work and they incarnated into specific lineages for purpose, because their soul knew what they were doing. Then whenever we go into, when the plasma event happens, it's the ones that have the open hearts that create it from the inside. We're in a firmament. Nothing's going to come in here. We're protected. The firmament, the Van Allen belt actually stops anything from coming in. And so we have to create the plasma event from inside of us. That's why we're all incarnated here. We step down our souls, our essences, our God source spark. We step down our consciousness into these vessels to be here to create that plasma wave whenever we came into alignment with it within ourselves, so that it would ripple out into the other celestial star seeds that are here. And then that way that they could save the human genetic coding. Okay, so when they go out, the plasma wave happens, will be laid out. Some people will just like be like, woo, my heart's open. Your soul comes into the body. Christ took 3 days in the cave. He took 3 days in the cave and then he came out. Jesus he went in as Jesus and he came out 3 days later as Christ. Right. And most stories, even in Dolores Cannon's work, it talks about being out for like 3 days. Some people will be out for a week, 2 weeks. So as I'm saying, get plenty of water. And don't have to worry about people going crazy and stuff getting all crazy. They're all going to be knocked out. So you don't have to worry about looting and all that stuff. The people that come to are going to be very Christed, and they're not going to be doing that. But we need water to work on. So you need to have lots of water, and we'll be going around and helping others that are coming to as their body, because their body's going to go into like a stasis, a shock, as they're getting up leveled, okay, energetically, because it's in the morphogenetic fields now. And so their body's going to be getting up leveled.
Wow.
Okay. And so they're going to be getting the assimilations, but whenever their consciousness comes back into the body, they're going to be a little disassociated. So what we do is they're going to get at least their 4.2 DNA strand activated. And that'll be able to move them through the vortexes. There's vortexes all over the world.
Right.
And those that'll know will be guided to it. And those that are to hold the gates open will be guided to hold it. They will know exactly what to do. You'll be cosmically connected. It's not like, okay, I need to go find the owner's manual and how to do this. The only reason why you needed an owner's manual here, somebody to write it, to bring it through, is so that you can remember what is already in you. Because it's already there. And so whenever you're having somebody show up in your reality, or a book or a transmission tell you, they're just telling you what you already know because it's already in here, but it's a remembering, because you have to see it to believe it, because that's the programming of the human, because that's how far we've fallen from just trusting and having the telepathy, the cellular telepathy. And so that's all this is. And so whenever they come back to, we will walk them, guide them through into the healing centers, the healing chambers, and median Earth 3,000 years to the future, which is New Earth. The crystal cities already exist.
Wow. That is mind blowing. Yeah. It really is. And this is all going to take place within a matter of a couple of weeks.
Yes, from my guidance, yes. So my and how I feel is like, if it's happening for me, then it's happening for my monad. If it's happening for my monad, then it's happening for all of us.
Right?
Quirky, so what I want to ask you, have you felt it ramping up, or is this one big?
No, I've been feeling it. No,
I've been feeling a ramp. That's why I'm asking. So I want I've been feeling it ramping up, and you can go onto my Instagram account and you can watch all my videos on IGTV, and I'm just talking about like, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I talk for an hour unless they time me. Like, I would talk for longer, but they time me out in an hour. And but I've been talking about this as soon as I got the Gene Keys teachings, and I read Gene Key 22 and 55, and I was like, oh, we're in the 5th initiation. I was like, this is the announcement. I was actually calling it the annunciation, because I didn't know how to pronounce enunciation, like the announcing of Christ consciousness, because I get it. I was like getting all these downloads, like, you know, and I think you're so freaking precious. I'm sorry. Very enjoyable. Go ahead.
No, I was like, can you guys not know? Can you not feel it? Do you not see it? Can you not see it playing out in reality? I'm like, wait a minute, Carrie, I literally had to have an astrologer tell me, like, dude, you have the same alignments that Tesla and Einstein have. And I was like, oh. He's like, oh, that's why you can kind of tap into that shit. And then I had another astrologer tell me, he's like, you've got the alien gene. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? He's like, you're Uranus. You're a Uranian alien. I was like, what does that mean? And he's like, he sends me a whole list of stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm just a cosmic mind. He's like, basically, I was, okay, I got that. So I'm able to just to take things and blah, 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 and break it down. But it's just the way that I work. I chose it. We all chose to come in with certain codings. This is what I chose to come in to do. You know, my Chiron is in Gemini. That's my biggest wounding, right? Is Gemini communications. But once I healed my communication within myself.
Look at you speaking your truth and in your power. Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's what we're going to do. All of us. But this shit's happening because we're the good old divine, and we say when. We say now, because what now is my future, my now, my now. When do we want this now? Why? Because I choose to. Because it's my heart. I open it. Nobody else tells me when or how. I do it when I choose. Just like you do it whenever you choose. And you know what the funny, awesome thing was? I just was about to go live with you guys, and my husband sent me this Instagram. And it's actually a picture, and I know we got like a 2 seconds left.
No, go ahead, show us.
So my husband sent me this picture, and it was it's an Instagram post, and it's a picture. Hold on, I gotta turn the volume down. But it's wait, go back. How do you go back? I don't know. Gosh darn it. Going back, so I gotta hold it. This.
I know.
And
what is that?
This is a mountain with the woman on top.
Oh, is it really?
It looks like a woman it's a mountaintop, but
I see her. Yes. She's hanging on the side of the mountain with her arm up over the feet.
Arm, head, ear,
yeah.
body, breast,
yes.
butt, feet.
Yeah.
He sent me this. She's waking up is what I posted to my Instagram. She's waking up. We see this with Moana. We see this in our shows. We see this with the movie Raya with Disney. I don't care about all of the stuff that Disney's done in the programming. Get over it. Literally, get over it. Get over the programming and get over the anger about the programming. It's just a part of the process. It's a big cosmic unfolding. Regardless of how it happened to you, believe me, we all had hard lives. We all had our shit, and some of us didn't have that much shit. But would you want everybody to go through everything that you went through? No. You wouldn't. Don't get mad if somebody didn't have it as bad as you and they just had it easy. You're jealous. But guess what? You're a fucking warrior. Own your battle and your scars. It makes you a boss. The more you took on, the more badass you are. And that's the truth. So stop crying about your lame ass life and your bad parents. We've all got them, but that's not your problem. You're a soul. You're a soul. You're a soul. You're a soul. This is the human experience. Experience the best of it. Stop dwindling on the old and the worst of it. You're letting your life run you over.
Exactly.
You know, we can open our hearts. We are opening our hearts. Like literally, we're opening our hearts. Raya, we're all coming together, all 12 tribes. You don't bully a bully because then you're just a bully. Stop throwing out like, oh, well, they're doing this and then they're bad and blah, 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 blah. They know they are. Send them some laughter and love. You can't feed on that.
Oh, this has been lovely.
Yeah, so we are at the end of the show. I want to thank Quirky for being here and taking your time because I know you're busy. And it was such a blessing to have you on here tonight and sharing your truth with us. And I feel so enlightened tonight. Thank you so much. It was beautiful.
That was really, really, really nice. I enjoyed this evening's show.
And so I have on the Facebook post about the show, your YouTube channel. That's where they're going to find out the most about everything, right?
Instagram. I mean, I've been putting I go live on Instagram and then I'll repost it to my YouTube, and then usually every other twice a month on Fridays I go live with a friend or a soul brother or a soul sister, and we dive deep into whatever transmission is coming out for us to collectively put out into the ethers. And yeah.
Well, Brandon just said, love the new Disney movie, Raya and the Last Dragon.
Yes,
despite the Kundalini
I told you love that one. Dude, it hits. It's a good one. It's like, oh my God, yes. Do you see that? Yes.
Oh, wow. I really enjoy your core of your message immensely. I mean, it is very, very powerful. I just love it. The passion, the energy. Thank you. Keep on. I can't wait to meet you.
Yeah,
All
you guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you guys so
All
much
right.
for having me. I loved your guys' energy and just like allowing me to just free flow. Like,
Free flow, baby.
that's unscripted, uncut. Like that's so
That's
lovely.
beautiful, though.
That's
Isn't
so
it?
beautiful.
That's nice,
Thank you.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Yay. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for joining us this evening for another night of Raising Vibrations Radio and Journeys into Consciousness. And thank you again, Quirky Cosmo. It's been lovely. Until next week. We'll see you then.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.